people focus in one of three different areas, and we're going to go through this just now. What happens often is that people would have a certain liking for specific work or specific activity that they would feel more comfortable with, and sometimes they do this, and they predominantly do this. Sometimes they go into a position where they would have a lot of responsibilities, and those responsibilities don't necessarily line up with what they're best at. This happens, I think, with upwards of 60% of people everywhere. I do think that career counseling has made some advances. I think a lot of the placement companies really do a lot of effort with software programs. I know Jordan Peterson also has written some software for career options. There are a lot of options out there and available that really assist and help for us as clairvoyants, psychics. We want to really move into this from a psychic perspective. We want to bring up the person on our reading screen and then ask, where is it that they can best apply themselves? And what I've seen often is that people in companies would not like the work they do, and they would actually create a side hustle inside the company. They would get the company to fund it. They would run it as like a little business, and they would spend a considerable amount of time and the company's money on these things. They would sell it to their bosses or sell it to the company and do it because they want to do it, not really because it's 100% needed. I think this is especially an area in businesses where a lot of cost can be saved just by having people more satisfied with and more aligned with what they're actually doing. The first one we're going to look at is really mind dominance, using the mind, intellect, or logic. This is very much academic type of idea and ideology to use. I know that some people really love the paperwork aspect of work. They really like to take the things after the fact. I've used the analogy of experimentation, where when we get to physical work, we say somebody has to do the physical experiment. Then somebody has to, do the physical experiment, they get the data. Then the data has to be catalogued and organized, and we have to look at different alternatives for that. Did we do the right tests? Did we have the right materials? We basically look at how the tests were conducted, how the people were conducting the tests. So we kind of manage the people conducting the tests, and also the clients that want the test done. So that's very much the business dealing, negotiation, or social interaction. And then we have people that just take the data afterwards and then analyze the data, write reports, give the information back in a condensed form, or in a form that is then turned into something useful, like a white paper or something to that effect. So this is very much the white paper end of things, where people would then take the information, all the data available. They would then analyze it, put it down on paper, give a report through. They would then report on the findings and say where the data is showing that we should go. If you watch some of these political type things, this is very much the end, where it is taken before Parliament or before a committee, and then all the facts are laid out. These people that present the reports or write the reports, those are the ones that have the mind dominant aspect, and the person then delivering the report, well, that's more the social interaction of it again. The social dominance or social interactions that we have, that's very much to do with how we speak to people, how we feel about things, how we negotiate with it. So we have to interact with things, we have to interact with people, we have to speak to people. So there's some doing, there's some dealing, there's some interaction. So it becomes very much shifted from the mind more into something that is audible or actionable, and somebody has to then connect with someone else, take the concepts and ideas and deal with them more on a social level, on a business level, or try and negotiate different things. So we could have that someone like this would really typically work with people more often, would not be somebody that would get stuck into the details too much or want to compile reports, but they're very good at mobilizing everyone. They're very good at getting all the resources together, getting the money for whatever needs to be done, or getting the products out in the market or something to that effect. So really very much the person that is standing between whatever is being done and the rest of the world as such. So a very important part of what we do, and also people that are not that multiple in number. I know a lot of people would like to be behind the scenes. There are a lot of people like this that get out into the world and to interact with the world, and that would be really great to understand if our sitter has these qualities, and then we can make some recommendations around them. Right then, physical dominance, and that's more to do with physical work, creativity, building or breaking. And as you see, I've made it a whole body approach. This is where the entire body works together as a unit, and where the person takes whatever they know and whatever is given to them and then apply it and make something out of it. This is typically people that create a lot, so creativity obviously plays a part. They do use their minds, they do use social interaction, maybe to a minimal degree. They're more about the doing part of it, and getting things done, building something, breaking something, getting the physical aspect of it laid out. So somebody, maybe you've seen a lot of chefs, they're in the corner of the kitchen, and they do the special dishes and the aspects of the food that really requires the most attention, maybe the special sauces or so on. You do have the waiters that then go into the restaurant and then deal with the clients, and then you have the person behind the restaurant that then sets the menu, does the advertising, creates the environment for the restaurant, the vision for the restaurant, and so on. So very much all these people work together. The exception would be where you get someone that does have a focus or a strength in all three of these things, or maybe two of them. So you could have that people have strengths in two of these, or in three of them altogether. When you get that people are good in all three, it means that you get somebody that can really work on their own, somebody that can go out and create something, interact with a public and sell it, and then also do the strategic planning as well. So when we see someone that's got no specific dominance, we could then look at, yes, do they have a little bit of each, and could they really potentially then take something from a concept right through to fruition. And this is what we could really have a look at as well. Or is it that they use two different things that are very closely related? Maybe they sell a concept and then they implement that concept physically, but then the ideas or concept or so they take from someone else. So we want to see what it is that they can do that is going to fit best into the options that they would want for career. We put our person on our reading screen. We would then go through all the different ascendancies, say, okay, well, what is it that they would prefer to do? Are they doing that right now? If they're not doing that right now, we go into that ideal career setup, and we say, okay, well, let's put them into the ideal career setup. So we go back into that, and then we look at it specifically from the point of strength that they have and see, well, what is it that they can do.